All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Off the Cuff Podcast. My name is Alex, and welcome to episode 2. How are you guys doing? You guys doing okay with like the virus and everything? Everything's like pretty crazy right now, but that's why I'm here to give you guys, a special episode, some entertainment for you guys to listen to. So let's get right into it. First things first, I just want to tell you guys what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Babadook. We're going to be talking about the Florida Project, and we're going to be talking about the AMC Theater's rejection to Universal Studios' new films. And on top of all of that, whatever other kind of shenanigans we can get into, we're going to explore those too as well. So, yeah, let me take a drink real quick. I have a nice little Monster here. We're going to try to get, I want to get sponsored by Monster one day. Like, I just hope, like, I hope they just, like, pick me up and decide to send me free drinks. Like, I don't even care about money, Nice. Anyway, so, yeah, let's get into it. The first thing I want to actually even mention is, just say rest in peace to Jerry Stiller. I kind of grew up watching him and on Seinfeld and pretty much all of his movies. And, yeah, I just want to send my condolences out to Jerry Stiller and the family and Ben Stiller and the whole gang. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. And, yeah, it's just pretty crazy, how life's going. But he was pretty old. He died of natural causes, so it's not horrible. That's just how life goes. But it is sad. So the next thing I wanted to talk about before we even get into the nitty gritty of this podcast is the Money in the Bank match from WWE last night. Like, can we just talk about that for a second? Because what the hell was that match? Like, what was the match? I just want to talk. Hey, Vince McMahon. Hey, I just want to talk. Who's writing this? Who's writing it? It's literally the worst thing that I have probably ever seen the WWE do. And I saw that Funhouse match from WrestleMania, and this is worse. This was worse. This is a disgrace to, like, with the Funhouse match. Like, yeah, they're trying something new. They're trying to do a little bit of cinematic stuff. I get it, but with this Money in the Bank match, it was a disgrace to professional wrestling. And I'm just gonna go out and say it right now. Like, it was literally a disgrace to professional wrestling. It was a disgrace. And any of you people that are saying that it's one of the best matches they've ever seen, you need to go back and watch real, like, actual wrestling. I listened to a podcast one time with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he said it perfectly. The WWE needs to get back to the basics wrestling. They need to focus on the wrestling, and if you're going to write a story, if you're going to write something, some kayfabe story about it, to make it a little bit more spicy, a little bit more interesting, go ahead and do that, but focus on the wrestling. Don't do all these little cameo, like, you don't have to do all those cameos, like, yeah, okay, yeah, cute little cameos, like, but, like, what, can we just, like, talk about that Stephanie McMahon cameo in there? Like, that was obviously filmed, like, separately outside of the match, and you can, like, literally tell, and that they just spliced it in there, and it was edited horribly. Like, it looked like somebody from high school edited it. Like, I could probably edit something cleaner than that. It did not seem realistic at all. And it just seemed so poor. Like, it seemed like they just didn't even want to try. They had so much time to, like, really do this because it wasn't live. And they just failed. Like, I don't even know what they were even trying to do. It just came out so bad. Just horrible. That's probably the worst. I think that is the worst match that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so bad. It was bad. It was bad. It wasn't even a match. You can't even call that wrestling. There was barely any wrestling. And then they tried to save it by, like, pretending to throw Rey Mysterio off the roof or something. Like, okay, cool. Like, that's fine, I guess. Yeah, throw him off the roof and ha ha ha. That makes it, like, it makes me want to talk about it a little bit, but Other than that part and maybe them going into Vince McMahon's office, it wasn't funny. The cameos were stupid and misplaced. The editing was really bad. The wrestling was even worse than the editing. So like just please explain to me what the WWE is doing. They need to get their shit together, man. They really need to get their shit together. It's out of control at this point. And I'm not saying that them, I'm not saying it's not hard for them because of the coronavirus and stuff, but trust me, you can do better. You can do better. You're the WWE. AEW shouldn't have better wrestling than freaking WWE. There's no way. If that's the case, more people are going to be tuning into AEW. Mark my words. And that's just a small little rant that I wanted to go on about that, because I watched that last night and I couldn't even barely sit through it. And then I'm scrolling on Twitter on the hashtag for Money in the Bank, and everyone on there is like saying how much they love it. Like, are you a wrestling fan? Are you a fan of wrestling? Because that wasn't wrestling. That was something else. I don't even know what to even call that. So you can sit here and say that that's wrestling all you want, but it's not. That's not real wrestling. I had to put on an ECW match today. I had to go watch John Cena versus RVD from One Night Stand on ECW to really to cleanse my palate, so to speak, of that, because it just was horrible, just horrible all around. And they can do better. And we shouldn't settle for. Why would we settle? Like, why do we have to settle? What's the point? Why do we have to settle? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I might explore this topic even further. Not on this specific podcast or this episode, but I actually am launching another podcast that you guys should tune into. It's going to be called the Prying Eyes Podcast. I don't know if I let you guys in on the secret about that in the last episode or not. I probably did, but I'm going to be launching a podcast with my brother shortly. It'll probably be up before this episode airs. Maybe not. Who knows? I have to edit it tonight and get it up on streaming platforms. The audio, we're working out some audio difficulties, but we wanted to get something out for you guys, and it's gonna be a cool ride. And my brother watched that Money in the Bank match with me, so maybe we'll explore it a little further and talk about it. All right, so on to the first topic that I wanted to talk about, I guess, I just wanted to talk about the Babadook. Okay. Here's my gripe with the Babadook, okay? You guys ready? Are you literally ready to hear this and ready for me to, ruin this movie for you guys? Okay. So, first of all, there's going to be a mild spoiler in this. There's going to be a mild spoiler in this little review thing, this little rant that I'm going to go on. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there, because a lot of people were calling me out on social media saying that because I posted this quote spoiler on my social media accounts, that they were like going to unfollow me. They were mad at me because they thought I ruined the movie for them. No, I'm sorry. First of all, I don't even think that I don't even think of like telling you what the spoiler is. I don't consider this a spoiler. Let's just get that out there. I don't consider it a spoiler and I'll explain why, but I will, humor you guys a little bit and give you guys a spoiler warning for all the people that haven't seen a movie that came out 6 years ago. And you guys can do with that what you will, but if you guys want to continue listening, go ahead. If not, I would skip this part and just go ahead to the next topic that we're going to talk about. But let's get into it. This is my gripe with the Babadook. The Babadook is actually a quite fine movie. It's a quite fine horror movie. It was actually a great horror movie until one scene towards the end decided to ruin the entire film. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of people complaining that I'm saying this, but guess what? I don't care. I'm putting this out in the world because people need to know why the Babadook isn't as great as they think it is, okay? So, let's get into it. The Babadook is a story about grief. It's a horror movie, thriller almost, about grief and how it kind of plays on the same themes like Hereditary played on, where it's people going through a loss of a family member and they're trying to deal with it and stuff like that, and then strange things start happening, and they go down this paranormal route with it, and it's almost like a creature feature at some points. But here's the thing. The movie itself is scary. It's scary throughout almost the entire thing. It's actually good. It's engaging. It makes you want to watch it. It makes you angry at some of the characters. It makes you feel what some of the characters are feeling, in the moment. And when I originally was watching this, I was like, wow, this was living up to expectations. I was going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I was going to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars because it was so good. I was like, wow, this is like a level of like Hereditary, this is good. This is really good. And then the scene happened. The scene where the mom in the movie kills the dog. She kills the dog, okay? Now, here's why I don't think this is a spoiler. Sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background. I need to acoustically treat this room here, but let's get into it. Let's get into why I don't think this is a spoiler, okay? So, I don't think this is a spoiler because it has no point of even being in the movie at all. It doesn't further the plot at all. It has no reason to be in the movie. And the reason why I don't think it's a spoiler is because if you took it out of the movie, it wouldn't have any effect on the actual movie. And that's why that's why it ruined the movie for me as well. Because if you took this scene out of the movie, it wouldn't do it wouldn't matter to the movie. There's no reason to kill the dog. Please explain to me why they added that scene, other than the fact that they are rookie filmmakers, other than the fact of that. Because let's get into the nitty-gritty. The film works by having subtle cues and subtle horror elements. Like, it's things that are off screen, things that you don't see, the unknown. That's what's scary about it. That is what's scary. That's what's drawing us into the movie, right? So why would you have such a visceral scene in the movie, and why would you just put that scene in there at all? I'm not even saying don't kill the dog. I'm saying don't have it on screen because it doesn't play to the story at all. First of all, you don't have to kill the dog. It doesn't matter if you kill the dog or not. There's no reason to. There's no reason to kill the dog. Okay, so you could just take that scene completely out of the movie and it would be fine, right? So, if you're going to leave it in, maybe do it differently. Maybe just do it differently where you have it happen off screen or something. Why would you have it on screen? I think that's just such a terrible, stupid rookie move that was put in there just to be this shock. It's supposed to be like a shock value type thing. It's supposed to shock you and make you want to talk about the movie. Maybe they thought the movie wasn't going anywhere because it was playing so subtly on those horror elements that they just were like, that the filmmakers were just like, yeah, let's add this like visceral moment where like she kills the dog and it just leads up to the ending. And like, why would you have that kick off the final act? Like, it just, for me, it just was in poor taste. It's a stupid trope that doesn't belong in movies anymore. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have to kill a dog. Like, I mean, yeah, if it's like necessary for the plot, but like if there's no other reason to put it in the movie, don't put it in the movie. If it doesn't further the plot, don't put it in the movie. Like, why would you even have that? Just to be shocking? Wow. Cool. Well, guess what? I'm going to lose respect for you as a filmmaker if you're just going to do something to be shocking. Now, if the whole movie was to just be shocking, then that's a different story. If all of your movies are going to just do that to be shocking, that's a different story, you know? If you're just going to have one moment in a movie where everything else is perfect and subtle and really draws you in, then why would you blow your load by putting the climax, like putting such a climactic, visceral scene and just like not have it like really mean anything in the movie and just put it like at the beginning of your final act? Like, that's so bad. It's so stupid and it's so bad. And that's why I don't think it's a spoiler either, because if you took it out, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the story at all. So how can I ruin a story if by saying something that doesn't have anything to do with the plot? You know what I mean? That would be a spoiler to me. Like, if someone was like, oh, well, the person in the movie has red hair, and be like, okay, oh my God, you spoiled, like, you what are you going to say? I spoiled the movie for you? Oh, the main character has black hair. Oh my God, you spoiled the movie for me. Like, it's the same thing. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the plot, right? But like, it's just in the movie. And it, like, that's why I'm saying it's not a spoiler either. So like, why? So first of all, if I'm gonna say that, if I post that the person kills a dog in the movie, don't tell me that it's spoiling anything. So like, how can you write a review? Like, I mean, like, what am I supposed to put in a review? You know what I'm saying? Like, like, you could technically say that anything I write in a review is spoiling it, because that's what you're going to be doing. Even if you just talk about the plot, which is already released in a trailer or something, or you can just find online, information you can just find online. Yeah, guess what? You could technically call that a spoiler. If I say, oh, this scene was really intense, well, guess what? I'm spoiling the scene for you because I'm telling you it's going to be intense. You know what I mean? So like, you can't just like tell me, like, a spoiler is almost like an objective thing. So you can't just like tell me that something is a spoiler. If I don't think it's a spoiler, then I don't think it's a spoiler. So like, when I post it on Letterboxd and I write, hey, this is a spoiler, and I don't like, you know, mark that it's a spoiler, and I just say, hey, why did she kill the dog? Because that's literally all I wrote. And like, people were like literally complaining about it, even though the movie came out 6 years ago and they just didn't watch it yet. So like, first of all, here's the thing. If a movie came out 6 years ago, we should be able to talk about it. And if you have access to this movie, like it's on streaming services and you could just go watch it, we should be able to talk about this movie. If it's a popular movie that most people have seen, we should be able to talk about this movie. Like, regardless of saying that there's going to be a spoiler. But anyway, regardless of that, yeah, I gave you guys a little bit of a spoiler warning, so I played, you know, I humored you guys a little bit, but I just wanted to like rant about that a little bit and just kind of tie it into why I don't think that this even belongs in the movie at all. It's just tacky and a stupid trope that just take it out of the movie. Just take it out of the movie. It would make the movie, it would literally make me give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars rather than a 3.5 out of 5 stars, you know? Or maybe just a 4 out of 5. Regardless, I would literally bump it up to be a higher score than I gave it if that scene wasn't in it, because that scene ruined all the rest of the things that I already saw. That it took me out of the movie completely. So that's why I bumped it down a whole star and made it mediocre, because it took me out of the movie. It made me not even care about the ending because it would just like blew their load too quick. That's like, first of all, that's like a climactic, visceral thing that you're seeing on screen. And if you're not seeing anything else throughout the entire movie and they're just going to put that in there and then just expect us to then just watch the final act with like, as if it's, still building up and we're still going to get that climax, then the climax isn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like you're using the climax too early. Maybe if that was like the actual ending of the movie or something, I don't know, it would have been different. Maybe I don't know. Either way, I just think that them even having that in the movie at all doesn't further the plot, and it's just stupid. And that's my advice for any upcoming filmmakers that want to make a film. And I'm not saying like don't be shocking or don't put things like that in your movie, but try to do it in an original, engaging way that's not going to make an audience member lose interest in the film. Just try to like keep that in mind, especially especially if you're going to make a movie so good to begin with, and then it just trails off into that garbage at the end. Just try to keep that in mind. Oh, geez. All this ranting is making me lightheaded. Let's drink some of my Monster. All right. So let's talk about the thing that I know you guys are all here for. Well, actually, hold on. Let's actually, before I actually talk about, I was going to talk about the Florida Project, but before I actually talk about that, let's get into the AMC theater thing. So AMC theaters, right? They decided to put out a statement saying that they are not going to be showing Universal Studios films in their theaters once things start opening up again. First of all, let's be honest. We'll be lucky if theaters even survive to open up. Okay, so like that showing like a certain film studios movies it should be the last thing that they are concerned with, but we'll get to that in a sec. Yeah, like I just think like when you add something, when you say something like that, you have to like kind of take into consideration and context of like why you even have that opinion, right? So from AMC, okay? I'm not saying AMC is wrong, okay? Because AMC is totally correct by saying that they're not going to be doing this because it's technically it's going to hurt their business. They're 100% right. It's going to hurt their business. If Universal Studios, which is one of the biggest filmmaking studios in the world, if they decide to start putting their stuff out on VOD before it comes out in movie theaters, or concurrent, like I don't know, at the same time as they put stuff out in theaters, which I think was already kind of happening, but they're going to probably start pushing to get things on VOD, which is what the executives were trying to get at with their statements from Universal. They were trying to say like, we're going to try to push towards VOD releases, and if they're going to push towards VOD releases, that's okay. They're allowed to do that, right? That's going to help them. That's going to help their business. They're looking for the future, right? Now, banning their movies from being even shown at all is probably not the right move from theater's standpoint, and that's probably going to hurt them in the long run. Hurt the theaters in the long run. And you have to like kind of take into consideration the fact that, yeah, if they're going to put it on VOD, they're just going to put it on VOD regardless. And if you're just going to ban their movies, it's not going to make people want to go to the theaters. They're already not going to go to the theaters, but if they do go to the theaters, there's not going to be Universal Studios movies to go see, because you're banning them, right? So guess what? They're going to go to another theater that is showing the Universal movie theaters, that is showing the Universal movies. They are going to go. They are going to go there. Because why would they not? Why would they stay at AMC and keep going to AMC when you're not showing the movies that they want to see? Universal Studios is huge, and you have to take that into consideration too. But here's the thing. It's going to be good I think it'll be good for everyone involved if they start releasing things on VOD, although it will hurt the movie theaters in general, regardless of whether they still show Universal movies in their theaters. it's still going to hurt them in the long run to put things on VOD, but it's going to be safer. People are already not going to be going to the theaters, and they're just preparing for that ahead of time because they already know. Why would you go to a theater right now? And the whole experience of going to a theater is going to be completely different once theaters do open back up. You know, like, it's not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be exactly the same as it was. They're going to have to change because you're going to have to update your cleaning procedures and things like that. But all these things you have to take into consideration. And it's stupid to make such a hasty... I think it's just stupid to make such a hasty decision so early in the game, because you don't really know how this is going to play out. It could play out well for you. It could play out in the sense that they don't just release it on VOD. But I think that's like I think they're just kind of threatening Universal Studios and saying, like, listen, if you start putting stuff out on VOD, that's going to hurt our business. So we're just going to ban your movies from our theaters. And, you know, that's trying to scare them into actually putting their movies out in the theaters. But it's just, it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire. It's definitely going to backfire. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to backfire. Mark my words. All right. So, with all that said, again, guys, please keep a lookout for any new videos on my main channel, Off the Cuff Reviews on YouTube. I'm going to be putting out a ton of more content. I'm starting to release content on Tuesdays and Fridays now. And we may get a new Stranger Things season 1 review soon. So be on the lookout for that. I'm just trying to think of like new movies and things and TV shows and things to talk about. So yeah, make sure you guys follow my YouTube channel and my social media accounts. And also be on the lookout for the Prying Eyes podcast, which is going to be coming out any day now. It's going to be out on all streaming platforms for podcasts. It's going to be out on YouTube. It's going to be out everywhere. We're going to have an Instagram. So just be on the lookout for that kind of stuff, and I will update you guys when I have more updates. But the Prying Eyes podcast, just make sure you guys tune in. We have so much to talk about. Me and my brother, we just love talking about different things like conspiracies and mysteries, and we might start a YouTube channel too to go along with it and start releasing content on there as well. So just, be on the lookout. Hey guys, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Anchor for being an amazing distribution service. You guys, if you guys want to start a podcast, you should get on it ASAP. Anchor is a great way to distribute your podcast. They will do all of the work for you. They will get you on every single streaming platform possible, and they will also get you advertisements as they come in. You'll be able to see your analytics in real time. You will also be able to record and edit your podcasts right there on the app itself. You can record and you can add anyone into the session as well to record with you from anywhere in the world as long as they have the app. And another cool thing about Anchor is that it is completely free. It is free of charge, and they do everything for you. I'm using Anchor currently, and I implore everyone out there that wants to start their podcast to just get on it as soon as possible. Use Anchor, and let's all build this podcast family together, All right, and now on to the main topic that I wanted to talk about, and that is the Florida Project. What a movie. What a movie. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, The Florida Project is currently out on Netflix right now. You can go stream it. It is an A24 film production, and it stars William Dafoe, Brooklyn Prince, and a whole bunch of other amazing people. You guys should go definitely check this out. And here's why. The Florida Project is a really raw and authentic telling of this underrepresented community of people in America. It shows their hardships on a day-to-day basis. We follow a mother and daughter who are very poor and live at a motel in Kissimmee, Florida, and basically we follow them throughout a summer, and they just show us their daily lives. But the reason why this movie works so well is because of how raw and how real and how authentic this movie is. This movie is insane. This movie is like insanely engaging. It makes you want to watch it throughout the entire thing. There's no slow parts. Slow meaning boring. There's no boring parts at all. This movie is a character study of how people come together in a community in an underrepresented part of America, and it just shows how much they struggle on a day-to-day basis. And we see in the film, it follows a mother and daughter, like I said, who get into shenanigans all the time. The mother's always getting into her own shenanigans, and the kids are getting into their shenanigans. Now, the kids in the movie, the whole movie is told from the perspective of children in general, but mostly of one child. Her name's Mooney, played by Brooklyn Prince. Now, Mooney is this girl who's very bright and very she's very innocent, but she's very bright. So she doesn't really comprehend what's actually happening to her on a day-to-day basis, but she knows enough to care about it. So let's get into why the Florida Project works and what makes it so real. So Sean Baker has this masterful way of helming a movie and showing characters just doing day-to-day tasks, but in a strangely entertaining, engaging way. The movie relies on a whole bunch of factors to come together, and all of those factors did come together in this movie. There's a lot of criticism about a whole bunch of things about this movie, but those criticisms don't hold up if you just understand and open your mind to what this movie really is representing and what this movie really means. And so for people to complain about it or criticize it and then at the end say, maybe I just didn't get it. Yeah, you just didn't get it. You really just didn't get it. So here's why. Sean Baker has these actors and actresses, and he allowed them to go off script a lot. And what that caused them to do is be more real. And what another part about this movie and how it works is a lot of the extras and the locations and stuff are all real. They're all real people, and basically what they did was they went down to Florida and they actually shot on location, and they took these people who are in these areas and they just hung out with them and they studied them. They just learned about them. You know, they opened up their mind to how they live on a day-to-day basis, and by doing that, they were able to actually, you know, portray them in a extremely accurate way. And that's why it's so heartbreaking, I guess, at the end, when you watch it all the way through and you get to the very end. Like, it's extremely it makes everyone extremely emotional, and it's because of Brooklyn Prince's performance. Her performance was extremely authentic and heartbreaking and engaging, and so on so many different levels too. When she breaks down at the end, it is absolutely unequivocal. Like everyone was just so like enthralled in that scene. Like you cannot look away, but you want to look away because it's so hard to sit through and watch, but you can't, because she just draws you into the story. You want to see what happens. You want to see, you get that climax at the end. You get the climactic ending, and it's good. It's a good ending, but it's definitely hard to watch. It's definitely sad and definitely emotional. But I recommend it to anyone and everyone that loves movies at all, to definitely sit down and watch. And here's like another reason why this movie works so well. The movie is told from the perspective of the children, and so even when you see it, even if an adult is in a scene, it is still told from the perspective of the child. The camera hangs on Mooney, like when William Dafoe's character and the mom's character Haley, when they're in a scene together, they might be fighting in the background, and that might be what the scene is about. But the camera is just hanging and focused on Mooney, and you get to see her reactions, and you see how innocent she is, and you see how like ignorant, I guess is the word, she is to what's happening. But it's not her fault that she's that way. It's just she doesn't understand completely what's happening. She probably has some kind of idea about it, but she doesn't comprehend it completely because she's not old enough yet, right? And that's also the beauty of how this movie works. So throughout the entire summer of the story, you see the kids just wander the streets of Kissimmee, Florida. You just see them going to get ice cream. You see them crossing the street in a busy highway. You see them going to, walking to Orange World. You see them going into a field and running after helicopters. You see them like doing all these things, but there's no parents, there's no supervision. William Dafoe's character is more of a parent to these children than their actual parents, but it just shows, and it showcases the innocence of children and how they view the world so well. And when you get into the movie and you really understand why it's working so well, and when you really think about why it's working so well, it's because of, like, even when it's so many subtle things. Like when William Dafoe's character is just walking and the camera's literally almost touching the ground, but it's angled up at his face, and you see him in the sky. Why do you think it's shot like that? Why do you think most of every single shot is on Mooney when she's in the frame? Why do you think that? Because it's showing it from her perspective. Even if somebody's talking, even if there's an adult talking or fighting or something on screen, it's in the background, or you only get to see half of what's happening because it's told from the perspective of the children. And that's why the movie works so well, because it shows you how innocent and how joyful it can be to be a child, and how they see the world, and how everything's so big and vast, and they have big dreams and big imagination. But at the end of the day, this world's very real and it's very small, and the world's very, 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 very small and cohesive, yet they think everything is just so big, and their imaginations make it look so extravagant. Like when they show the hotels or the motels, and the motels look like, they're bright, vibrant colors. That's because the bright, vibrant colors, that's what they're seeing. That's what the kids are seeing. That's how they view those motels. They don't view them as these poor people just living in this trash heap. No, they see it as this big, extravagant place. So they don't necessarily understand why things are happening, but they kind of start catching on, especially towards the end when everything just comes crashing. But that movie works so well. Though I only have one criticism of that movie. And my one criticism is that Sean Baker used an iPhone for the last actual shot of the last scene of the movie. He used an iPhone, and his excuse and okay, first of all, back it up. Sean Baker is actually had made an entire movie on an iPhone, and it looks really good because he's really good at, one, just directing in general, and two, he's really good at knowing how to manipulate the iPhone so it looks good, right? Now we get into the last shot of the movie and why it doesn't work for so many people. Okay, first of all, it's shot on an iPhone, okay? And the entire rest of the movie is actually shot on 35 millimeter film. So you can see the difference. You can see digital compared to film, and it's really jarring how it switches immediately from film to digital. Like there's no like cut, there's no fade in, there's nothing like that. It's just literally, it just cuts to the next scene, and the next scene is shot with an iPhone digitally, right? So it's kind of jarring to see that for some people. Now, I personally don't care. I don't care. I noticed the difference, but I didn't care. Like, it wasn't as jarring for me. That wasn't the part that was jarring for me. The things that bothered me about that scene was how shaky the camera was. You could literally see, like, even though Sean Baker wasn't in front of the camera, you can see him literally tripping over himself because it's just like the camera's almost falling out of his hands, like when he's filming the girls running, and all of that's fine. I mean, all of that, like that is why I didn't actually give this movie a perfect score. I was going to give it a 5 out of 5. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And that's only because the shot was so shaky and all over the place. It looked like it was edited badly. It looked like it was poorly edited, like a high schooler did it for a school project almost, but the film actually is really good. It works well. The whole scene itself, it works well in the movie, and it makes sense in the movie, but it just doesn't work with, like, the shakiness. Like, that's what's jarring to me, like how shaky and how all over the place so the editing was and everything like that. So if they were to like clean that up before they released this movie, then it probably would have gotten a 5 out of 5 for me and most people. And I think that's really the issue with it. Now, there's a lot of criticism about how it switched from film to digital and how they were just running into how they were just running about. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. There's a lot of criticism about that ending. I don't understand the criticism for the actual ending itself. The ending and even switching from film to digital, it makes sense. It makes sense per the story, but so everything's working, right? So like he had to shoot it on an iPhone because they were going into Disney, and Disney doesn't allow big camera crews like that without like a permit, basically. And he didn't want to get that, and that's fine. He's good at using iPhones, but he just missed the mark a little bit on this one. So the shot is like the concept of the shot is good, and the like the actual storyline is good, and the acting and everything is good, but what is not good was the editing and the actual execution of shooting that scene. Everything else was immaculate about this movie, especially everything that was shot in film was extremely like impeccable. It was impeccable. Like there was not a single frame in that movie that wasn't set up perfectly. There wasn't a scene in that movie that wasn't acted out perfectly. William Dafoe's character, I don't think I've ever seen him in a more authentic, real role. And I've never seen him like really, I mean, I've seen him be amazing, but I've never seen him really sell a role as well as he did in the Florida Project. And honestly, kudos to him. And just kudos to the whole cast and crew. Everyone just did amazing. Brooklyn Prince is going to be a fucking star when she gets older. She's going to be a star. Mark my words. A complete and utter star. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the Florida Project. And hey everyone, thanks for like tuning in to this podcast and tuning in to my YouTube channel and tuning into my other podcasts and anything else I'm doing. I'm eternally grateful for all of you guys that are listening, and I appreciate all of the support. We're going to be launching a Patreon shortly once I can kind of get the details finalized out with that. So you guys can subscribe to the Patreon as well and get exclusive perks and videos. So just be on the lookout, but this is going to be, I can feel this being the start of something amazing. And I just wanted to extend my gratitude out to all of you guys. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in and always supporting me and supporting anything I do. And you guys are amazing. You guys are the real reason that any of this is going on. So I bid you guys a farewell. I hope you guys stay safe. I know the world's crazy right now, but just stay safe. And I'm gonna get sponsored by White Claw and Monster one day, and all of you guys will be drinking Monster for free with me. All right. So cheers. Peace out.